I'm here for this exciting event here called Success Day of 2015. I never thought that I'm going to come to Hungary and do a success speech here in Budapest. But here I am with some great entrepreneurs and pioneers, and I love this kind of an energy that I see in here in this auditorium. So it is wonderful to be with all of you today. Now let me tell you that before I do a speech, I always do a little bit of informal poll to check out what the people want me to talk about. Because you never know. Sometimes you talk about bodybuilding, sometimes about show business, sometimes I talk about politics, sometimes about stem cell research, sometimes about the environment, all those different things. So I wanted to know, what does this audience want me to talk about? So the numbers were really interesting. They were kind of all over the place. 40% of the people wanted me to talk about politics. 50% of the people wanted me to talk about show business and about bodybuilding. And the other 10% of the people just wanted their money back from some of my shitty movies that I've done. I mean, come on now, guys. That was like 40, 50 years ago. But seriously though, all jokes aside, wherever I go in the world, people do ask me all the time about what is the secret to success. And I always tell them, the short version of course. I tell them that first of all, you have to have a 22-inch bicep. Second is you have to be able to wrestle predators with your bare hands. The third is you have to be able to travel back on time and to save the human race. And the fourth is, of course, you have to have this charming Austrian accent. No two ways about it. Those are the things that you have to have. But today we don't have to give you the short version, today we can do it the longer version, because this is, after all, a seminar about success. So today I can talk to you about my 6 rules that made me successful. I believe that these rules can apply to just anybody. It doesn't have to be someone that wants to be a bodybuilding champion or a leading actor or a governor of the state of California or anything like that. Anyone that is interested in excelling, anyone that is interested in improving, those rules are for you. I also want to tell you that I have not always picked many goals and had many visions. But the ones that I had, I went after them with vengeance. I always was very, very intense. I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to get to the top. I never was happy with just getting by. To me, there was a difference between just living and existing. The majority of people just exist. I wanted to live. I wanted to live fully. Now, that doesn't mean I have anything against those people that just want to get by. If you just want to get by and just be happy, I know there are many paths to happiness. So if that's what your goal is, so be it. But I'm not so sure that that's why you're here today. I think you're here today because you really want to learn and you want to excel, because you're hungry for more. You want to also get to the top in your field. So these are my rules here. First rule is find your vision. Now, to me, this is the most important rule, simply because if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to go anywhere. You can have the best ship in the world, you can have the best airplane in the world, but if the captain or the pilot does not know where to go, he's going to just drift around and float around, never going to end up anywhere, or definitely at the wrong place. And the same is also with life. If you don't have a direction, if you don't have a very clear vision of where you go, and a clear dream, then you don't know where to go. And I think this is a very big problem. Let me just tell you the way I have created my vision. I grew up in Austria, as you know. After the Second World War, we were occupied by the Allied forces. There was famine, there was starvation, there was misery. And to me, the whole place just felt too small and constricted. I couldn't wait to get out of Austria. I couldn't wait to get away from there, because I could not see myself as being working in a factory somewhere, or in a shop, or to be a farmer or something like that. I couldn't even see myself following my father's footsteps, being a police officer, even though that's what my parents wanted me to do. They wanted me to follow my father's footsteps and to have the traditional Austrian life, and to be a police officer, and to marry a girl by the name of Heidi, and to have a bunch of children, and to run around like the Von Trapp family in The Sound of Music. But that was their vision. That was not my vision. My vision was much bigger, much larger. Luckily, one day in school, I watched a documentary about America, and I found myself. I couldn't believe when I saw this documentary, the tall skyscrapers, the monster bridges, the giant freeways with the beautiful cars. I couldn't imagine these huge jetliners, movie stars, Muscle Beach, and all those things. The Empire State Building was 100 times taller than any building in Austria. I couldn't wait to get there, but of course the question was, how do you get to America? In those days it was not that common of a thing that you just buy yourself a ticket and you fly to America. And then one day I walked around in the town of Graz after my school, and there I saw a sporting goods store where they sold magazines, bodybuilding magazines. And there was on the cover a guy by the name of Reg Park, and he was in the Lion Club. He posed like Hercules. He looked monstrous, he looked fantastic. And I was so intrigued by his physique, by his body, that I bought the magazine immediately. And I read the article as fast as I could about him, how he became Hercules. Because on the cover of the magazine it said, Mr. Universe becomes Hercules. So I wanted to hear that story, I wanted to read about that. And I read about how he grew up poor in Leeds, in England. And how he trained 4 or 5 hours a day and became Mr. Great Britain. And he continued training and training and training, and then eventually became Mr. Universe. Then he has won the title a second time and a third time. And then all of a sudden he was discovered in Cinecittà in Rome to play Hercules. So when I read that, I became more and more certain about my own future. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. When I read about him becoming Hercules and having all these muscles, and then taking these hundreds of thousands of dollars that he made with his Hercules movies, and then buy himself a gymnasium chain and became an entrepreneur and a gym owner. All of those things is exactly what I wanted to do. I could see myself very clearly, my vision laid out in front of me, that I will become a bodybuilding champion, that I will also get into movies, I will become rich and famous, and go to America, and the rest, of course, is history. And I was so happy that I had a vision. I was so happy that I had a goal and that I knew where to go. Because the simple truth is, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a goal, if you don't see your future laid out in front of you, every day kind of becomes kind of like a chore. It becomes burdensome. You don't know exactly why you're working hard. You don't know why you're failing, why you have to get up again. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. In America alone, we have 74% of the people that are unhappy with their work. Think about that. Only 1/4 of Americans are happy with their life's work. That is a sad story. When you have a vision, everything you do, no matter how hard you work, brings you one step closer to making that vision become a reality, no matter how many times you fail, no matter how hard you work. I remember during my pumping iron days, people always ask me in the gym, why are you always having this smile on the face? I mean, you work out 5 hours a day, you're struggling and you're sweating and you're lifting, and you smile. And all those other guys in the gym have a sour face because they have to do another set and another rep. And they have to work out. And I always told myself, because I have a very clear vision, I know that every set that I do in the gym, every rep that I do in the gym will get me one step closer to that goal, to that vision that I have to become Mr. Universe and standing on that stage. So I could not wait to do another set. I could not wait to do another 1,000 sit-ups. I could not wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do as many curls until my arms fall off. I couldn't wait for that because I knew that each and every rep would take me one step closer to that goal of standing on that stage just like Reg Park. You see, when I lifted weights, I didn't just lift the weights in my mind. In my mind, I was lifting the trophy over my head. And I could see myself surrounded by hundreds of bodybuilders around me, looking up at me. And thousands of people screaming out in the audience, Arnold, Arnold, Arnold. That was my vision. And let me tell you something, at the age of 20, my dream and my vision became a reality, and I stood on that stage in London where Reg Park won the Mr. Universe competition. And at the age of 20, I became the youngest Mr. Universe ever. So I knew that my dream and my rules and all of those things worked, that I made it even though we had all the doubters. So this is not only bodybuilding. Now this was not just in bodybuilding. It was with everything like that. It was like this in show business, it was like this when I ran for governor. Whatever big goals that I had, it was the same thing. It was the vision that was so important. I remember very clearly when we did the scene in Conan the Barbarian. We were filming in Spain, and I was crawling through the rocks and gravel with a sword in front of me, and I was crawling up to this one guy, and I was crawling on rocks and gravel that made my knees and my elbows bleed. So after 10 takes, the director saw my elbows and my knees bleed, and he said very sheepishly to me, "Arnold, do you mind doing another take? I need a close-up of you when you do this with the sword, that scene, but I know you're in pain." And I said to him, no, forget the pain. I'm not bleeding. Pay no attention to any of that. Because you see, I saw in my vision the finished scene of me crawling up behind Thulsa Doom, the man that killed Conan's parents, and then rising up behind him with a sword and cutting his head off. And I saw his head spinning in slow motion through the air with blood squirting all over the place. And the audience in the theater screaming. That's what I saw. Even though the scene was not edited or shot yet, but I saw that scene, and that's why I did not feel the pain. I could care less about the blood on my elbows and on my knees, because I had a very clear vision, and to me, the pain was temporary. But the scene in the movie, and the Conan movie, was permanent. That was the difference, and this is why I did scene after scene and take after take, and I didn't pay any attention to it. So it's the vision that really cares, that really takes you through those things. Discover your vision, and the rest will follow. This is the most important rule. That leads me to the second rule. The second rule is never ever think small. If you're going to accomplish anything, you have to think big. You have to think the stars. Because the biggest challenge most people have is to think small. They think small, and this is the worst enemy that you can have. I've never had patience for any of that. To me, there's a saying in German that says, "Wenn schon, denn schon." If you do something, then go all out. Go all the way. I always felt that too big is not big enough. I didn't just want to be a bodybuilding champion. I wanted to be the best bodybuilder of all times. I wanted to have the best symmetry. I wanted to have the best definition, the most muscle mass. I wanted to win the most titles. And the same thing was also in show business. I didn't want to just be in movies. I wanted to be the leading man. I wanted to have credit above the title. I wanted to be the highest paid actor in the history of motion pictures. I didn't politics want to just run for city council or mayor. Are you kidding? This is Mickey Mouse stuff. I wanted to go and become governor. But not just governor of any state, but governor of the best state in the United States, of California. You see what I'm saying? So I always shout for the big thing. Because it takes the same amount of energy to have big dreams that it does to have little tiny goals. So remember, never think small, think big. The third rule is ignore the naysayers. It's natural that when you have a big dream and a big goal and you say to somebody, "Hey, I want to be world champion in bodybuilding," and you're 15 years old, they're going to say, "Are you crazy? This is not going to happen. It's impossible." So no matter what goal I ever had in life, people always said, "It's crazy, it's impossible, it will not happen." No. So I heard this all my life, but I never paid attention to it. Because what I did was, and I recommend this to you, take those words no and impossible and it can't happen, take all of this out of your vocabulary. In each of my careers, when someone said it's impossible, I heard it's possible. When someone said it can't be done, I heard it can be done. When someone said no, I heard aloud yes. I always believed in what Nelson Mandela said. Nelson Mandela said that everything seems to always be impossible until someone does it. You see? Until someone does it. Then all of a sudden it's possible. Well, I wanted to be that one that breaks through and be the first one that make it possible. Just think about how many times my career would have ended if I would have listened to the naysayers. It started right away bodybuilding when they said it can't be done. They said it's an American sport. Are you crazy? You can win an Austrian sport. You can be a ski champion or a swim champion or track and field champion, but not a bodybuilding champion. It's an American sport. You're nuts. When I wanted to go to America, they said the same thing. Come on, Arnold. You're crazy. You don't have any money to go over there. There's no one over there helping you. You know what they do in America. When you just hang out, they shoot you. They kill you. Is that where you really want to go? And then, of course, when I wanted to go into show business, it was the same thing. I remember after I won all the Mr. Universe titles and Mr. Olympia and Mr. World and all this, I wanted to change over from bodybuilding to acting. And I met with managers and with agents, with studio executives in Hollywood. They again say it's impossible. They said to me that your body is too big. Look at you, you look like a monster. Hercules movies were done 20 years ago, but not now. Now the new sex symbols are Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, Woody Allen. Those are the new sex symbols of the 70s. So forget about it, Arnold. And plus your accent. I mean, the American people like to see people talk like John Wayne. They want to hear John Wayne talk. Not like you with this accent. No foreigner has ever made it in America and become a star. And plus, your German accent is kind of scary. It gives me the creeps anyway, so I don't think it will work. And your name, Schnitzel, whatever your name is, yeah, I can see that already on the billboard, on a poster. Yeah, a lot of people is going to storm into the theater and just see the movie because of the name Schwartz, whatever the name is. No, forget about it. Look out. You're a nice guy. Why don't you just open a gym? Open a health food store. We can help you with that. We get you some little parts as a bouncer or as a villain or as a wrestler, football player or something like that. Oh, they're doing Hogan's Heroes right now in Hollywood. You can play a Nazi officer. That's perfect for you, Arnold. Yes. But luckily I didn't listen. I didn't listen to the naysayers because I said to myself, like, if I could be bodybuilding champion with 5 or 6 hours of training a day, if I put the same amount of hours in there in acting, I could be successful in that too. I can get to the top in that too, and this is exactly what I did. I took acting classes, English classes, speech classes, dialogue classes, accent removal classes. Now that guy should give me his money back. They should be giving me my money back. But I mean, nevertheless, I ran around, I remember all day, a fine wine grows on a vine. A fine wine grows on a vine. And the zinc is made out of zinc and rubber baby buggy bumpers. And those are the kind of things that I say over and over again in order to get used to the American kind of way of talking. And all of a sudden things started happening. I had a breakthrough. I started getting parts in movies. I remember the first one that I starred in was Hercules in New York. Now that movie went right in the toilet. It was a terrible movie, but let me tell you something, that it was my foot in the door. Then all of a sudden I started getting parts in Streets of San Francisco, which was a very famous series on television. And then I did Pumping Iron, Stay Hungry with Jeff Bridges and Sally Fields. Then I did a movie with Kirk Douglas and Anne Margaret. And all of a sudden I landed the Conan role. Conan the Barbarian. It was this big Universal studio, Dino De Laurentiis producing, and John Milius directing. And that was my breakthrough. Finally I've arrived. There was a starring role, big budget movie, and we were #1 when we came out in the box office that summer. And let me tell you something, that here's the interesting thing. When the movie was finished and we came out, John Milius, the director, said if we wouldn't have had Schwarzenegger, we would have had to build one. Because there was no one around with a body like that to play Conan the Barbarian. If we would have had Schwarzenegger, we would have had to build one, he said. And then, when we did Terminator, Jim Cameron, the director, said the "I'll be back" line became the most quoted movie line in the history of motion pictures because Schwarzenegger talks like a machine. You see what I'm saying? So now, all of those things that the naysayers said that are liabilities became actually assets, became a big plus for me. So as you can see, never listen to the naysayers. And the same was in my political career. When I ran for governor, they said the same thing: you have no political experience. I said, you're right. They said, you've never really worked your way up in politics. I said, you're right. But you see, I went to the people when I announced my governorship, and they said, look, I have no experience. But I don't think that's the problem in California, because we have plenty of experience. We have warehouses of experience in Sacramento. But I said, the politicians don't have the will to serve you, the people. I said, I have the will to serve you, the people, and not the party or not the special interests. I will be serving you. I said, so you have a choice. Do you want to go back to the status quo, or do you want to choose me? And you know something? 2 months later, I was the governor of California, even though they all said it would never happen. If I would have listened to the naysayers, I would still be in the Austrian Alps yodeling. That's all I can tell you. So never ever listen to the naysayers. My fourth rule is forget plan B. How many times do you see people when they make a plan, they say, well, and then I have a fallback plan. If plan A doesn't work, I have plan B. That's my safety net. Big mistake. Because when you have plan A, you got to focus on plan A, because it's already tough enough to focus and for you to believe in the plan. So now if you start focusing on plan B, that means you're taking your eye off the ball. And what is what they teach you at every sport? When you go golfing, they say keep the eye on the ball. Don't raise up your head before you hit the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. When you play tennis, they tell you keep the eye on the ball. When you play football, when you play soccer, always keep the eye on the ball. Stay focused. So that's number one. You're taking your eye off the ball when you look at plan B. But number two, you've already the outside doubters. The people that say it can't be done and don't believe that you can do that, it's impossible. So if the outside doubters, and now you have someone within you that is doubting yourself, because if you already go from plan A to plan B, that means that you don't have 100% faith in yourself in plan A. So now you have an outside doubter and you have an inside doubter. There's no one in the world that has ever made it. No one ever became successful when you doubt yourself within, and also have the outside doubters. So forget about that. As a matter of fact, there's a famous writer that wrote, his name was Samuel Beckett. He said, ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better. That's exactly the way I feel. Just stay on plan A, your plan B should be to focus on plan A. And then when you fall, get up again. And move forward. Because remember, the only one that is a failure is that stays down. The one that gets up is never a failure. So keep getting up and keep moving forward. Focus on your vision. Be relentless. Fail. But get back up again. There is no plan B. Now the fifth rule is work your ass off. Work your ass off. Nobody ever stumbled upon success by accident, except maybe the guy in California that dug and found gold and started the gold rush. But I wouldn't count on being that guy. I think that the most important thing is that you work your butt off. I always believed in leaving no stone unturned. Work, work, work. Muhammad Ali, one of the great heroes of mine from the 70s, had a great line in the 70s. He was asked, how many sit-ups do you do, Muhammad Ali? And he said, well, I don't start counting until it starts hurting. See, that's what makes you a champion. That's what makes you a champion. That's why, and that's the way it is with everything. No pain, no gain. The bottom line is, none of my rules will work if you don't work your butt off. That is the most important one. It drives me absolutely nuts when people say they don't have enough time to work out every day. They don't have enough time to read a book. They don't have time to improve on their business. They don't have time to learn another language. They don't have time to improve or to do anything. What are we talking about? The day is 24 hours. 24 hours. We sleep 6 hours. So we have 18 hours left, and I know there's some of you out there that say, well, wait a minute, I maybe need 7 or 8 hours of sleep. Then just sleep faster, okay? You only need 6 hours, but then you have 18 hours left. Then you work maybe 10 hours, so you have 8 hours left. So what are we talking about? That you don't have time to improve yourself or to grow as a person physically or mentally or spiritually? We can do all of this. I remember when I went to the United States, I worked out, I trained every day 5 hours. I was managing a construction company and working on construction because in bodybuilding there was no money yet. And I was studying in school, business administration and economics. And I went to acting class 3 times a week from 8 o'clock to 12 midnight. I know that the day had 24 hours and I want to use every single hour of that day. Never waste one single hour. I believe in what a very good friend of mine by the name of Ted Turner said. Ted Turner started CNN, which was a revolutionary breakthrough in the national news, 24-hour news. And he's a fantastic guy, entrepreneur. He said, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell and advertise. That's what I believe, that's what we need to do. So just remember, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in the pockets. You got to work your butt off. That's that simple. And my 6th and last rule is, don't just take, give something back and change the world. Leave your mark in the world. I believe that we all have an obligation to do something for our community, something for our state, something for our country. I mean, let me tell you something. We must serve a cause that is larger than ourselves. We cannot be just selfish and think about ourselves, because we all know that in the end we are all going to be judged. And not how much we have made, but by how much we have given. Ever since America greeted me with open arms, I felt this sense of obligation to give something back to America. Today I know that everything that I've accomplished in my life is because of America. My bodybuilding career, my movie career, my political career, the money that I've made, everything because of America. America is truly the land of opportunity. But it didn't become the land of opportunity by itself. People worked tirelessly. People fought. People died to make it the land of freedom, the land of justice, the land of opportunity. Now it is our responsibility to keep it that way. No matter what country you live in and you call home, it's the same thing. I only talk about America because that's where I live. But for you it's Hungary, for you maybe it's Austria, it's Germany, it's the Ukraine, it's Russia, it's China, it's Italy. Whoever is sitting out there, think about that. You have the responsibility to give something back to your community, to your country. I love the words of my father-in-law, Sergeant Shriver, who started the Peace Corps and the Job Corps and Legal Aid to the Poor and all kinds of wonderful programs. He said at the Yale University commencement speech, he said to the kids, tear down that mirror. Tear down that mirror in front of you that makes you always look at yourself. And you will be able to look beyond this mirror. And you will see the millions of people that need your help. You know something, he was right. I started tearing down that mirror. I saw the millions of people that needed my help. And I became a trainer of Special Olympians. I became the chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports between 1990 and 1993. I started after-school programs all over the United States for kids that were disadvantaged and they didn't have parents in the afternoon when they got out of school. And I started getting so addicted to serving and the pleasure that I got out of it, the rewards that I got out of it, that in the end, I rather went to play with an 8-year-old kid, chess, in an inner city school, or maybe play golf with a Special Olympian, and to go down another red carpet of a movie premiere. And eventually the joy of giving became such a high to me that I decided to literally walk away from my movie career after we were finished with the promotion of Terminator 3 in 2003. I walked away from the movie career and I ran for governor. Let me tell you something, there were a lot of people against that because my agents and all those that were benefiting from my money that I made said, Arnold, you're going to lose out $20 to $40 million a year for doing that. As governor, you don't make any money, it's like $178,000 a year. Which of course I never took because it was petty cash, they were right. But the bottom line is that I did not pay attention to the money that I would lose or anything like that. I paid attention to that I wanted to serve America. I wanted to serve California. And I tell you something, that those 7 years were the most exciting and most rewarding and the most gratifying years of my life. To work all day and to solve problems for the people, for 38 million people. From education problems, to law enforcement problems, to prison problems, to healthcare problems, and the list goes on and on and on. All day long was such an unbelievable pleasure. And even when I was finished with my governorship, I continued my service for the people. I continued with the after-school programs. I continued my fitness crusade. I even built an institute at the University of Southern California, the Schwarzenegger Institute, that continues with those policies. And we continue now I'm a professor, if you don't know, of that university and I lecture there regularly. And I also created the R20, which is an environmental organization, the Regions of Climate Action, because we have to fight our pollution, because we are continuously polluting the world and 7 million people a year die because of pollution-related illnesses. And I cannot just sit by and watch that, so I'm also on a crusade to create a sustainable and green energy future. So I continue with all of this because it gives me such a pleasure, because I believe that I shouldn't just do something for myself, but also something for the world and for the community. So this is why I said to you today, don't just think about me, think about we. I have great idols. Each of us has the power to be the change we wish to see in the world. Just like my heroes, like Mikhail Gorbachev, Reagan, Mandela, Chancellor Kohl, Churchill. When he dismantled the Soviet Union, Gorbachev said, if not me, who? If not now, when? All of us need to embrace that spirit. All of us can create change, whether it is in our neighborhood, in our schools, in our country, or within our family. As I said, don't just think about me, think about we. To lead a truly full life, we must give back, and we must thank, and we have the responsibility to hand this world over to our children and to our grandchildren in better shape than we found it. That is our responsibility. So ladies and gentlemen, those are my rules, and I guarantee if you follow those rules, that you will be able to declare many victories in your life. You will have many victories and you will leave a mark, and you will have a legacy that you can really be proud of. So let me remind you once again, have a vision, think big, ignore the naysayers, forget plan B, work your ass off, and give back and change the world. If not us, who? If not now, when? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be right back for a Q&A. Discussion, and you can ask all kinds of questions. Thank you very much for paying so much attention. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'll be back.